Jets picking number 2 today. I think the favorite would be Arvell Reese. Set an edge to take on tackles and pullers. That's a guy that's worthy of being the number 2 selection. I am going to take David Bailey here.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
Hold on, you just pulled a meat. You just pulled a meat. I was literally about to ask you a follow-up about Arvell Reese.
I did the whole thing, and then I take someone totally different.
Welcome to the opening bell, the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. Trevor, Sikkema, Connor Rogers here with you guys in the middle of Super Bowl media week. Connor's on the road. He's hoteled up, but that's not going to stop the positional ranking series. Today, we got linebackers for you guys. Linebacker, always a very in-depth conversation because there's so many different ways to play the off-ball linebacker position. We're going to give you our top 8s today. We're going to run through exactly what the strength and weaknesses are, some scheme fits of all of these guys, the ceiling, some round grades, some player comps, all of that good stuff. Connor, how is you and your man on the street TikTok Mike doing over there?
You like this little guy hooked up to the top of my protein shaker? I mean, this is absolute like survival instincts at this point. I was gonna hold it, and you guys were like, absolutely not. So way too close, way too far.
I almost wanted you to start the show like that, so you could just be like overblowing the sound for the first. Yeah, hi guys, how you doing?
With my little microphone. Oh my God! By the way, the chat has pivoted from making fun of you standing up to now saying I'm 3 shaker cups tall.
Oh, thank God!
The height jokes have now pivoted.
Thank God!
I'm not getting out of this.
I needed a break, man. It was tough out here. The pint-sized pavia from people in the chat. I mean, like that's gone too far. But yeah, look, your protein shaker obviously coming in handy. You know we stay strapped with this one over here. So
everybody's got the cup. Every man has the cup.
The show is absolutely on brand. Yeah, and the sick thing about this cup is that, you know, I'm battling a little bit of a cold here. So like there's this kick-ass immune medicine that my wife got me into that you just like pour a little bit of it into water and it does the trick. I had that in there in the morning. We've had protein in here throughout the day. Now we got water. It's universal. It's universal. Every person has to have a good cup. And for a lot of times, not the stereotype here, but for a lot of young men between the ages of, I would say, 16
that's right,
and 38, a lot of times it's a plastic protein cup that will never let die, which I'm proud of.
That gets washed like out of when it's just water, almost never.
Not nearly enough. That's not nearly enough.
The hygiene of the water cup, not the best. Those 16-year-old demo.
This is actually the perfect prospect position ranking to be talking about this, because you know damn well. I mean, there are linebackers that we're going to talk about here on this show that are like, yeah, man, I played running back in high school, and then I packed on 40 pounds. Guess how they packed on 40 pounds? The Little Caesars hot and ready diet, and this bad boy right here. That's how they did it. That's how they did it.
We have pulled the switch. You are back in your lovely home studio.
I am.
I am now in the hotel.
Thankfully.
Yeah, I bet you feel good.
Oh, dude.
That return to home studio show after being away is like a slice of heaven.
My flight on Sunday, getting back to Charlotte because the weather was so bad, got canceled in the morning. And I was so numb to travel at that point, I just went, all right. Yeah, all right.
This is my life.
Yeah, let's just, we'll look up another flight, I guess. Like, I wasn't mad. I wasn't panicking. I wasn't anything.
You give up.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Yep. Just find another one, I guess. I'm happy to be home. How's Super Bowl Media Week? You've been there. I think today was the first full day for you guys?
Yesterday.
Okay.
We do get out here very early every year. I get in on Sunday every year, and Monday's very quiet at Radio Row, but Tuesday it starts to really, really pick up. Sims and I had Joe Milton today.
Nice.
And Joe Milton right now can throw a football 87 yards, I believe he told us. Which is just, and of course I believe him. I mean, this is why he has no reason to lie. We've seen him come close to doing this all the time.
Video. It's on video.
Right.
At least 80 yards is on video that we've seen.
Absolutely on the over on 80. So definitely picking up here today it's been a lot of fun, man. The energy is really, really good. It's cool to see it. And I didn't make it to the Senior Bowl, so it's cool to see people that I missed out there. Everybody asked for you, and I'm like, he didn't want to be here.
No,
so I tell everybody.
No, I kind of honestly, after Shrine and Senior Bowl week in the travel, that's excellent.
No.
I would have loved to be there if I could snap my fingers and be there, and then snap my fingers again and be in my home bed. But
I just said never heard of him.
Yeah, that's actually that's the correct response. Yeah, when people asked for you at the Senior Bowl, I was like, nope, he's done. We actually had a really
doesn't do the draft anymore.
Really bad falling out. The podcast is over. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, it's alive and well. We're here to talk linebackers. We're here to talk top 8 linebackers like we have for all the early positions. Obviously, we'll kind of go through these as we get more time to watch even more guys over the next couple of months. We'll have the combine, we'll have free agency, we'll have the pro days, all that good stuff. So we'll revisit this, of course, but we wanted to give you guys a little bit of a primer on this class because, you know, Connor, there are years that go by where linebacker is, I'll just say, like, not really alluring. It's not one of those premium positions, as you would say. There's a lot of times where you can find serviceable linebacker play, depending on what your scheme asks of these guys. But if your scheme is more of, hey, we like our linebackers to keep their eyes in the backfield, it's more of an attacking style, you can kind of find a lot of those guys every single year. So the positional importance, how much you would value it into the first round, it's not often we get a good linebacker class, but this year I do think that there are. I do absolutely after a full day of podcasting, but that's neither here nor there. I do think that there are some guys at the top that are really intriguing, and then the depth of this class, specifically a lot of the guys who could be going in the 3rd or the 4th round, there's a handful of linebackers that are really exciting. So unless you have any other general scouting linebacker thoughts, we can get right into the top 8.
We've talked about it a lot, you know, that this position has kind of evolved in different ways over the years. The speed you're asked to play with, and naturally because of that speed that's required, the way the size of the linebacker has changed. But I'll say this, I watched 9 for this episode, less than I would have liked because of the travel and the busyness of the week itself. I have a lot of work left to do because there's a lot of players I know that are talented. I still need to watch, but really impressed as a whole with this class. It feels multiple tiers above. I can't remember the last time we had an off-ball class this talented. It just felt in a totally unique class of its own for the 9 players I watched in comparison of just how highly they should be valued.
It's also really, this class specifically is going to be a great litmus test for linebacker overall, because for most of the linebackers in this group, I think one of the first kind of sentences that I talk about in my scouting report, because I'll mention, you know, how overall height, weight, length, things like that. A lot of them are small. A lot of them are really undersized for the linebacker position, the way that it has been built over the last, I would say, I guess for as long as pro football has existed, to be honest with you. But now we are getting into a world where speed is so prioritized.
Yeah. You got to have it.
As the great Bill Parcells used to say, the NFL can only take what the college game is giving them. So if in college you're seeing a lot of these teams gravitate towards and give starting experience to linebackers that are smaller but more explosive and quicker, guess what's going to happen in the NFL? You're going to start to see that a little bit more in the NFL as well. So it's going to bring up a lot of interesting conversations here. Nick had a really good note in the chat early on here. People need to stop calling this a weak class. It's just not a premium class.
That's right.
I have not really heard it said like that before, but I think I agree with what Nick is saying there, that, okay, it might not have the surplus at premium positions that some drafts do, but it is a pretty deep class in a lot of ways, and I think linebacker is one of them. So, Connor, let's go. I believe our producer, Tyler the Chef, has it 8-4, like we have been doing in the past. Yes, 8-4. So let's reveal your 8-4. We'll reveal my 8-4, and then we'll kind of bounce around and talk about what we honestly want to talk about most here in these rankings.
And to the chat, somebody in the chat said I'm drinking a Coors Light on the show.
Yo, he's drinking a Coors Light. Hold on. Wait a second.
I don't know if this is a San Francisco thing or what. This is what all the water comes in. out here. I haven't seen a plastic bottle.
Nah, brother, I know a silver bullet when I see one.
The disguise. That's a massive silver bullet vibes. Yeah, the mountains. Look, blue mountains.
There it is, dude. You can't fool me. You cannot fool me. They may have changed the logo for their California brand, but you can't fool me. I see your game. I see right through it.
All right, let's go 8-4. I want to see that ridiculous animation. Always makes me laugh. I can't express how much I love the chef. Number 8, Senior Bowl standout beyond belief, Kyle Lewis from Pittsburgh, and I'll get into the reason why he made my top 8, which might surprise some people over names that the name that's behind him on my rankings. But I got to look at, besides the 9 I watched, I got a light look at about 3 others and didn't feel like they had a chance to go over him. So we'll get to him. 7, Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech, a fan favorite. His tape is a lot of fun to watch because he just makes so many plays on the ball that change the game with his knack for turnovers and the tenacity that he plays with. 6, Anthony Hill Jr. from Texas, which kind of speaks to how good this class is, that you have a player of Anthony Hill's caliber as the 6th-ranked linebacker. I would put him in a tier with Jake Golday, the linebacker from Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. I would really group them together as these guys with these long strides and range. It's to watch them when they can really build up and run is pretty special. And then one of the last guys I watched, Josiah Trotter, who just feels like a hammer on a nail the way he plays. It's like I'm coming downhill and I'm a little throwback style with the beefy build, and I can run right through you and play a little downhill thumper style game. And I believe he's a redshirt sophomore, so I would imagine he got some pretty good feedback to leave for the draft early. And after watching the tape, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I actually am a little surprised that Trotter was in this class, but I wonder if feedback, like you mentioned, is the reason why. So let's go my 8-4, and then we'll start the conversation there. Love the animation. Anthony Hill Jr. from Texas. You mentioned him. You've got him at 6. I have him at 8. A little bit lighter of a linebacker, more of a will linebacker, if you ask me. Somebody that I like. The idea of him playing a little bit more in space, a little bit more in coverage. We'll have a deeper conversation on him in a second. Taurean York from Texas A&M. I've got him at number 7. I thought he stood out during Shrine Bowl practices. Undersized guy, which is, I think, the theme of this class, but somebody whose game I really like, and I just can't quit how smart he is and his recognition and all of that. Number 6, I've got Jacob Rodriguez right here. You have him at number 7. I have him at number 6. I imagine that we probably see him similarly as we'll have his conversation. You having Kyle Lewis at number 8, that's no shock to me because I've got him at number 5.
There it is. Well, we know what he's really good at.
And I think that his projection is very, very interesting. Maybe we start the conversation and start talking about Kyle Lewis, because I don't know if he's your traditional linebacker, but I do know he's one hell of a football player. And then finally at number 4, I just had Jake Golday, which you have him at number 5. So we'll get to him at some point. But Tyler threw up the graphic. Let's just start with Kyle Lewis here. So Kyle Lewis, you see the snaps played. He's got over 1,500 snaps played. Redshirt junior at Pittsburgh. Listed and official measurements here, because this is from the Senior Bowl, 5'11" and a half and just 225 pounds. For an off-ball linebacker, that is 5th percentile in height, 5th percentile in weight, but he does have longer arms to him. I didn't write down the arm length percentiles, but I believe he's got 32-inch arms, which are really long considering he's sub 6 feet. Redshirt his first year when he was at Pitt, started in 2 games the following season, and then he has been a full-time starter for them the last 2 years. You see some of those numbers when it comes to coverage grades, certainly in the box and in the slot. He is good at both of those things. Really good run defender, despite his overall size. Had 6 interceptions over the last 2 years and 2 forced fumbles. Connor, I'm cheating a little bit here, but I wanted to talk about Kyle Lewis, but I actually kind of think he's a nickel defender.
I get it.
I think he's one of those hybrid players that's sort of like, Cameron Curl is at times, what Kyler Gordon is at times, what Derwin James is, what Jalen Petrie is. And I think that because he's a linebacker playing in that spot, it's a little bit different than those corners that I mentioned who are more slot defenders. But Pittsburgh will play him in that overhang apex defender slot role where he's in space, but he's not really in space like a will linebacker is. He's truly like an overhang type of a slot defender because of how explosive he is, because how well he can defend the run if there's any sort of outside runs or quick screens or anything like that. I think that he is tenacious when it comes to taking on blocks, doing the dirty work, and yet that change of direction, explosiveness, and fluidity, the true drop coverage, because we'll talk about this throughout the episode. Sometimes you have linebackers that, sure, they have coverage grades, but coverage is a little bit different for them. Some guys are just, backpedal a couple of feet and keep everything in front of them, and they're only really asked to cover shorter, maybe swing passes out of the backfield into the flat. Maybe it's just mesh routes over the middle. Kyle Lewis, I mean, this guy is flipping the hips. He is shuffling. He is going side to side. He is totally changing direction in how he covers, and he's fantastic in that regard. I think he's got good recognition for both run plays and pass plays as well. As you would expect for a guy who's 225, a lot of his weaknesses, Connor, come from if I'm going to ask him to play between the tackles.
Right.
He's not super dense when it comes to the hitting power, even though he'll give it his all with as much momentum as he can. He's not the best at taking on blocks because he's smaller, but that athleticism is so good. I mean, dude, I don't know if you got a chance to watch all of the running back, linebacker, one-on-one coverage drills from the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
His body of work throughout the week in that drill was as good as any linebacker I have ever seen. Yep. He had 2 interceptions in that drill.
Which is ridiculous.
Who gets interceptions in that drill? That is totally catered towards the running back cooking your ass at all times. And he was so good. He had such great explosiveness, such great recognition, and such good ball skills. He ended up having a couple of pass breakups and interceptions as well. So I have him as LB4 because I wanted to talk about him on this list. If you're going to list him anywhere as a linebacker, I think it's as a will linebacker, more in space. But to be honest with you, I like him as just more of that big nickel chess piece, nickel defender type of a player. Right. So I am a huge fan. Although it is a projection, I'm a huge fan of Kyle Lewis, the football player.
Me too. The reason he made it in my rankings as linebacker 8 was because I know what he's good at, and that's as a coverage backer, a sub-package backer, call him a dime backer. If you're playing a team that's all of a sudden in a heavy pass script or it's a 3rd and long, this is somebody on the field that's going to give you not only that kind of speed and range, but his ability to match movements and his route anticipation in the short area really, really stands out.
Yes.
I mean, he's going to erase those checkdowns really quickly to running backs. And, like you said, playing kind of an overhang spot. Do I see a world for him where he's going to be this 3-down, true linebacker, even as a will backer? It might be a little bit more of a long shot right now, but the reason he made my rankings is because I know exactly what he's good at. And if you put him in a defense where you feel like you have the big bodies up front to let him kind of run and chase a little bit, then he's got a real shot. So it's just when you have that kind of calling card and skill and a skill set that is highly desirable in the league, it's going to go a long way. And I think he showed everybody that in Mobile, or I would say reminded everybody that in Mobile, because the coverage tape the coverage skills on tape for now 2 years have really, really stood out to me.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you completely. And I also agree with your assessment. If you want him to sort of just be a linebacker, even a will linebacker, he's probably a little bit lower on my rankings. But I'm really hoping he goes to a creative defensive coordinator who will let him basically be a will linebacker for you at times, or a nickel for you at times. And if you do that, I think you're getting the best of what Kyle Lewis has to offer, which is a hell of a football player, a hell of a competitor, somebody who's not afraid to do the dirty work, somebody who'll come up and hit you. He's got those extra long arms. He's got those coverage instincts. I am a big fan of what he could be in his potential at the NFL level. Connor, I'll give you the floor to pick whichever running back you want to talk about next. But before we do that, guys, if you have enjoyed this content or any content that we have done here at the NFL Stock Exchange Show and you aren't subscribed to the show, we would love for you to become part of the Addicts. Join us every single time that we go live as we do these player breakdowns, positional breakdowns and rankings, the team mock drafts, the overall mock drafts, all that good stuff. We got you covered all the way up to draft day. So if you're not subscribed yet, we would love for you to be. And I also see a lot of the super chats. As always, guys, we will save the super chats for the end, and we will run through all the super chat. Most of the super chats, sometimes if they're topical, we'll get them in the show really quickly, but we'll save most of them for the end just to not, disrupt the total flow of the show there. So, Connor, who's the next linebacker that you want to talk about here?
Let's jump around here in the rankings. Lewis was 8 for me. I do want to get to you having York in the rankings as well, but let's talk about Jacob Rodriguez, because we clearly, him and Anthony Hill, we have very, similar spots here.
Yeah.
Rodriguez is a guy that simply all of the, how early will he go is going to be based on if he even runs a 40 and if teams think the foot speed is good enough. But man, the tape is the tape with this guy. Yeah. And he's not small at 6'1", 235. Like, that's the thing, is that if he had questionable foot speed combined with the size, then you'd look at it and you'd be like, okay, I just don't know if the projection or the apps, the transition at the next level is going to be a smooth one. But he's played a ton of football because of his instincts. He's constantly made plays. I mean, you just look at the numbers this year. There was a reason why he was in the Heisman conversation, let alone, the level of talent just as a defender.
Dude, he's got 10 forced fumbles and 5 interceptions over the last 2 years.
That's where I was just going to...
That's insane.
And he got so much even better from last year to this year, where he forced 7 this year and 4 interceptions. He has a nose for the ball that really can't be quantified. That's how I would kind of describe him. I think you and I have discussed on this show that when he was at Virginia back in 2021, he kind of had this weird quarterback role, and he caught some passes and he ran the ball, and they tried to do a little bit of everything with him. And then as soon as he got to Texas Tech after that 2021 season at Virginia, it was like, okay, you're just a linebacker now. And I think you can see some of that awareness and IQ of an offensive skill player, like the development of the play, go with him as he moved to linebacker. He just has such a good feel for how plays develop. And once again, I don't think that can be quantified. And I don't think he's slow to the point of where it's like just not an NFL player. I don't see that. He's fast enough. Is he going to run like some of the guys we're going to talk about after him? Absolutely not. But he's tough. He's physical. I love how active his hands are in passing lanes. And when he sees a quarterback staring down a throw or a screen, he can jump all over that. He just has such a high IQ that the production is not a fluke at all. It's truly because of his sixth sense of understanding play development, both against the run and when in coverage.
I just think he's just such a high football IQ type of a player. You talked about how, okay, we don't think that he's going to be the fastest, but he also doesn't look slow on tape. And when I was watching him at Senior Bowl, he doesn't look slow at the Senior Bowl either. And I think a big reason for that is because his first step's always immediate and it's in the right direction. Always.
Right.
Always. The guy's never fooled. He's always going where he's supposed to be. And so if he's not meeting the ball carrier exactly at the line of scrimmage, he's close and around it. The big play mentality to force the turnovers, reading the quarterback's eyes, having that quarterback background is so big for him. And I think the lack of size goes into him having a little bit higher of a missed tackle percentage throughout his career just because his arms aren't as long. Right. The overall length and the overall weight that he's playing with. So he's got length limitations. And like you said, the first or the overall speed might be a little bit less, but there's so much good with what this player does. And I feel as though the instincts that he has are top of the class, truly. I mean, he is right there with, we'll get to Sonny Styles, so I think it's unbelievable. But like, he is right there sort of with Sonny Styles and how he anticipates the game. The difference is just that Sonny's a better athlete and he's a bigger athlete. But again, we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. I think Rodriguez is awesome. I have a third round grade on Rodriguez. I can't wait to see how he tests because he's a little bit better of an athlete than I think he is. Even if it's just sort of in testing, then I go, okay, now I have more faith that maybe this guy could be a second round type of a linebacker. It's tough when you're undersized to be around the top 50 when you're an undersized linebacker, but he's such a playmaker, it's hard for me to think that he's going to get out of the top 100. So right now I would project him as a third round pick type of a guy, but we'll certainly see how he tests when he's at the combine because I know that he's going to get an invite.
Yep, without a doubt. And I'm looking forward to that. It always helps with this position. So it's just such an easy player to love watching play ball because he's just so incredibly sharp and tough and, helps his teammates by his ability to diagnose plays. And, obviously somebody that if he just meets a threshold with a 40 time, I think teams will be able to talk themselves into him pretty easily.
Yeah, somebody noted in the chat, he's got a better slot coverage grade than Kyle Big Nickel Lewis. Slightly. I mean, like, whatever it was, like 69.6 for Kyle Lewis versus, 74.1. Obviously, I just think that Rodriguez's instincts and coverage are so great that it's close enough. It's not like I'd say that Rodriguez would be better in the slot than Lewis. I think they're totally different players in that regard. But I think both of those guys are really good in their coverage roles, and obviously both of them showcase really good coverage grades as box defenders, as true linebackers as well. All right, who's next? Who's next on the list? Who do we got?
Well, probably a good time to go to... Actually, before we get to Anthony Hill Jr., I want to hear you talk about Taurean York. So I mentioned the three guys that I've seen some of outside of the 9 I watched for this show. Taurean York was one. Owen Heineke from Oklahoma was one because he just found out he's not going to get the extra eligibility because of his lacrosse season at Ohio State.
Yep.
And then Bryce Betcher from Oregon, who was a Senior Bowl character, to say the least.
He is part of the CCU, is what the chat let me know last episode, which is the Caucasian Collision Unit with him and Dylan Thieneman at Oregon.
Okay. Yeah, look out.
And there's merch, actually. I've seen the merch of the for the CCU.
I saw that too. I just wasn't really fully cultured or ingrained on it yet. I'm excited to hear you talk about York because there's a player that I really wanted to like more of. He's just small.
No, he's
the margin for error at that size is always so difficult.
No, I mean there's no question. I had Taurean York as my LB1 going into this season because he just plays the game at such a high football IQ level. Like, whew, excuse me.
Bless. From the Lord above.
Thank you.
It's more than Mekhi Lemon got. Imagine he sneezes and he looks up and goes, not even a bless you. Love Mekhi Lemon.
So, that clip that would go around on like Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and it was Luke Kuechly basically like calling out plays like before the snap. He's like, hey, outside run, and he's like moving the entire team. And then before the ball even snaps, he's like running to exactly where the spot's going to be. And of course, he stops the play by himself. That's basically Taurean York. He's just not built like Luke Kuechly. And I wish he was, because he'd be LB1 in this class if he was. But he's not, and that's part of the scouting evaluation. But that's why I loved him so much when we were going into this season. So he's just a true junior, coming out of Texas A&M, listed from the Shrine Bowl, 5'10.5", 230 pounds. So the height and the length, I believe, again, I didn't write down the arm length, but I believe the height and length both like first percentile, very much outlier. I think actually, now that I'm remembering it, the height is first percentile. The arm length is second percentile. So
that's the tough one, man. Like if you're compact, you're compact.
Right.
Like short linebackers, but it's just all about the arm length.
That's an issue. And so you're talking about an outlier in height and length. The weight at 230 is 14th percentile. So yeah, he's smaller, but he is pretty compact and he is pretty dense, obviously, with him being a little bit smaller and having the weight that he does. He ran track when he was in high school. He ran the 200 meter and he ran the 100 meter. He started every single game as a true freshman for Texas A&M in 2023. He had then obviously started all 13 games the following year, and he started all 15 games this past season. Mike Elko, who is a great defensive mind, and he's the head coach at Texas A&M, he said this about Taurean York. From a preparation standpoint, he's unlike anybody that I've ever been around. He's as good as I've ever seen in terms of film study, his quality of preparation, his ability to watch tape and process through, here's a call, here's my reads, here's what I'm seeing, as opposed to just watching tape. Sometimes a lot of kids are just watching it, not really getting a ton out of it. I think he's really, really effective with what he gets out of film study, and he puts a lot of time into his film study. That is absolutely so much of what I have heard from anybody who was around the Texas A&M program, the type of leader that this dude is, certainly to be a starter at a linebacker position as a true freshman. You mentioned the lack of length that he has. He still, I don't have his tackle percentage up here, but his missed tackle percentage is low. Like single digits both of the last 2 seasons. Like he does not miss tackles because he's so in control. Now, it gets more difficult at the NFL level, and you have to think about that when you're projecting guys from college to the pros. It's not going to be the same, but his recognition's unbelievable. His communication to the rest of the defense is fantastic. He's been a leader and a starter in the middle of that defense for the last 3 years. He's got this jitterbug type of high energy, high competitiveness play style to him. He is a fiery competitor. He is not shy to contact. If you watched any of the practice film from the Shrine Bowl, he was absolutely demolishing running backs in the pass protection drills because he's just so tenacious at how he goes after the football. The big issues with him is he's just not big. If Taurean York was 6'3", 240 pounds, he'd be LB1 in this class, I think. But
because that is Arvell Reese.
Because it's basically Sonny Styles, to be honest with you. But
right, you're right, because of the way they play.
But the coverage ability that he has, despite being his size, how he can retreat and shuffle and flip his hips from true like mugged up looks, because that's another thing. Like there's a lot of times where with a lot of defenses nowadays in the NFL, you get a lot of defense coordinators that want these mugged looks and these simulated pressures, right? And not every linebacker is comfortable being at the line of scrimmage, acting like they might blitz, and then the second the ball is snapped, you're immediately flipping your hips and you are shuffling back as fast as possible to drop to a deeper part of coverage. Not every linebacker is good at that. Taurean York has that movement skills to be that kind of player. The shorter length it can impact tackling. It can impact how he gets his hand on a football. It can impact the stride length that he has from getting from point A to point B. Even though he looks super fast, like those legs are churning incredibly fast, he's not covering the same ground that Sonny Styles is, Arvell Reese is, Jake Golday is. It's just the fact.
Right.
So I just can't give up on a player with this much football IQ. I just can't do it. At a position where we've seen undrafted linebackers, undersized linebackers get starting roles, be somewhat of impact players or at least contributing players, it's hard for me to totally give up on Taurean York despite the facts that his measurables probably tell me that I should. So if I get burned for this, so be it. He just approaches the game with such a high football IQ, it's hard for me to put him any lower than this on this list.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, once again, the tape stands out with him. There's years of it. So it's not even like there's a lot of variance in his game because of the intelligent game he plays. It's just it's just physical limitations, which is a shame. But, because you go through the history of the position recently, and there's a guy or two like this every single year, and they hang around rosters. They play special teams. They're good sub-package players, but it's just harder to be that guy. with those limitations.
There's no doubt. And Jason in the chat, I think, brings up a good point. Logan Wilson's got great instincts, but he can't get to the sideline before the ball carrier gets upfield. If Taurean York does not prove to have the athleticism to be able to do that, yes, then I think that that's sort of your calling card of like, okay, now this is a major issue for you at the NFL level. But we will see. I kind of lean on the track background a little bit, and I think, hey, maybe he's got more juice than even I might think that he has. So I might just be blissfully optimistic about him, but it's just I just enjoy so much of how he plays the game. It's hard for me to give up on him there.
Want to talk about Anthony Hill Jr.?
Sure.
Since he's probably, if I have a feel for our audience like I do, the surprise of the rankings, people seeing me have him 6th and you have him 8th.
Yep.
When he's probably, and there's a lot to like about Anthony Hill Jr. that we'll get to in a second. A little bit of this is the product of being in a great class. But I think when I watched this group, he was the guy that I did want a little bit more from, admittedly. I listen, let's get to the very obvious is that he is 6'3". He's probably going to come into the combine at least 240. He carries that really, really well. And being that size, he runs really, really well. Like, it's just
great athlete.
Great athlete, can open up and cover, kind of take away the corner. Like it's hard to beat him to the edge. It really, really is. We've talked about this before, but he's mastered that, that peanut punch to knock the ball out over the last 2 years. He's forced 7 fumbles, and he has this tackling style that typically you'd be nervous about with a player. That it's like upright, and he wraps, and he has this wrestling grip strength that he never just falls off of people. He kind of tackles high and wrestles them high to the ground rather than kind of driving through the hips. But I can't knock it because it's entirely effective for him at the college level against high-end talent. It's not a problem. Like if you want the positive of that, it's not really a lot of instances of him ducking his head and whipping because he tackles so high. The problem I had with him, Trevor, and why I was left wanting a little bit more was I just felt like he looks like he could be physical, but he just doesn't run through blocks or work through traffic at the rate you'd expect a top linebacker to.
Yeah. It's
like he's got the size of a masher and he's got great speed, but his game is predicated on just opening up and running. And honestly, in coverage, while he's fat, he's a good athlete. I don't really think he had any instincts in coverage that I expected. I expected at least more ability in space. So he's kind of a project. Like what I expect, and you see he's 20 years old. In 3 or 4 years, Anthony Hill ends up being the 2nd-round pick that blossomed into a high-end starter. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I just think he is very, very green right now.
I agree with you. Based on basically everything that you said with him, the lack of physicality sounds much harsher than it really needs to be.
He's not like a slot receiver playing linebacker.
No. He's not like shying away from contact, but
kick my ass.
I thought, of course, right. That's understood
with one hand.
But like I thought he'd be a little bit stronger between the tackles, and I felt like he got pushed around by blockers. I thought he got sealed off and displaced in the run game more than you would want somebody who's going to play in the box full time. I have him listed as a will linebacker because I think the best of what he does is truly in space. I want him to be covering, but like you said, I also wrote down that I feel like he has a excuse me, a lack of good feel for when receivers are sort of like behind him. And I kind of need the coverage instincts to be a little bit better. And I think that can get a lot better. You see his age. I don't know what he's going to be. I think he's 20 right now. I don't know when he turns 21. I don't know his birthday off the top of my head or in my notes, but I just agree with everything that you said. I think he's a really good athlete. I think he's built really well. I think he's got long arms. He's got the height. He can put on some extra weight to play at the NFL level. He could play, I think, somewhere between 240, 245. I just think he's got to get a little bit stronger if he's going to play that full-time will linebacker role.
Yeah, so I looked up he'll turn 21 this month, so he'll play his entire rookie season as a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's just kind of like really, really impressive traits.
He was a former track guy too.
I believe it.
Yeah, he was in the 4x400 relay team that finished second in the Texas 5A state championships. So the dude can run. I think he's just a little bit more of a athlete playing linebacker than I thought that I was going to see. I thought I was going to see a little bit more of a polished linebacker, and I think that's still a little bit of a work in progress for him there.
Well, Rhodes in the comments said Tremaine Edmonds, and that's the pathway here, right? 20-year-old prospect, really great build, can open up and run, but a very raw middle backer right now. And there's of course a lot of risk with that in a class that I think has prospects with less risk. Yeah.
So I see him very similarly to the way that you do. He's a young player. He's a good athlete. He just needs some development still. And I think there are times when I think he plays too light. He plays a little bit out of control. He's really quick to run to where the ball is, but then he gets sometimes to be over aggressive to it. I think that leads to a little bit higher of a missed tackle rate for him. If he's running in there at full speed, he's not as patient. He has some reps where he sees it, and because of his athleticism, boom, he's right there to make the play. But he also, even with his experience over the last 2 years, I felt like I saw too many reps probably where it's almost like he was guessing and he guessed wrong and he ran himself completely out of like where the play was actually going. So, any RPOs, any misdirection, any things like that at the NFL level, the game just gets a lot faster and you got to be a lot more on your toes. So we're judging a player in his current state, but he is a young linebacker who I can very easily see. I gave him a third round grade, but I could very easily see a team drafting him in the second round.
I think so.
As a really good athlete type of off-ball linebacker that they know they're going to be able to develop.
All right, so that was Anthony Hill. Trevor had him 8, I had him 6th. We have pretty similar players across this part. And another one would be Jake Golday, who I had at 5. You had at 4.
Yes.
Trevor, I thought he was one of those guys that you watch on tape, and there was so many instances of him just standing out.
Yep.
Partially because of the usage. I had written this down. He's played 488 snaps in the slot over the last 2 years.
The way that Cincinnati played him pissed me off.
It was quite obnoxious.
I mean, they're playing Jake Golday the same way that Pittsburgh played Kyle Lewis. Kyle Lewis is 5'11", 225 pounds. Jake Golday is 6'4", 240. He's hosting the pod. He's coming on next week. No, he's not.
And he's never leaving.
But, okay. For as much as people heard me talk about how much I liked Kyle Lewis, I like Jake Golday, man. He's the dude. Well, obviously, we have the same top 3. It kind of just is a matter of like where are they? And I really do believe that the tier 1 of this linebacker group is pretty solidified. It's the names that we're going to talk about in a few minutes here on the show. But after those 3, this is the guy I want, because he doesn't quite anticipate things as a true in-between the tackles box defender the way that you would maybe want him to right now. But there's a reason for that. He was at Central Arkansas. He also played defensive end and linebacker in high school. He also played wide receiver and tight end. So he's been kind of this like off-ball, on-ball type of a linebacker. And then he gets to Cincinnati. They finally kind of move him to a home base as a linebacker spot. And they don't even play him there. They play him as this like overhang defender that's just playing in space. But the reason why they're playing him there, Connor, is because the dude can move. when he puts his foot in the ground. Now, again, sometimes it's a tick slow. Sometimes he's a tick slow to see it because I just think that he doesn't necessarily have as many high level reps as you would want him to at this point in time from a true linebacker spot. But when he sees it, that foot goes in the ground and this dude moves. He was on Bruce Feldman's freak list this past season. Feldman said this about him. The 6'4.5", 240-pounder has some elite testing numbers. He ran a 4.24 shuttle time, which would have been faster than any linebacker in the 2025 combine. He broad jumped 10 feet 7 inches, which would have been second best among all linebackers there. His 36-inch vertical and 1.54 second 10-yard split also stood out, and he did 24 reps of 225 on the bench press. He's got a max bench of 365, of course, can relate. And he hit 22.16 miles per hour during practice. Give me this guy next. Of all of the linebackers in this class, after those top 3 that we're going to talk about, this is the dude that I would want to invest with. I was talking with John Ledyard a little bit about some of the linebackers in this class because he's going through linebackers as well. And I told him that I really like Jake Golday. I was a Jake Golday guy. And he reminded me, he's like, that makes sense because I remember you had Peyton Wilson as LB1. I don't remember if you had Peyton Wilson LB1 in that class 2 years ago.
I'll have to look.
But Wilson was kind of that same player. Bigger, longer, a little bit skinnier, a little bit leaner of a linebacker, but he played this overhang in space position rather than like a true Mike linebacker role. And I still loved him as a player because I saw all the athletic and playmaking potential that he could have brought to the table. I see the same type of things, type of potential, I probably should say, with Golday. I think that Wilson was further along with anticipation and football IQ and linebacker IQ at that point. But I think that Golday brings that same ceiling to the table.
Yeah, man. I was laughing when you were talking about the usage, talking about how they play him. It's like they looked at him like, hey, you look like Cooper DeJean. You're going to play like Cooper DeJean. It's like, wait a second. No, I'm not Cooper DeJean.
They do, man. There'll be like a tiny slot receiver who's in the slot. And then there's just
Jake Golday.
And then there's just Jake Golday's giant ass 3 yards in front of him. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Get somebody else on the field. Kick Golday inside. Come on.
It is wild. And you're right. The frustrating part of it is that it's fun watching him play on the inside because he's got these gazelle-like strides sideline to sideline. He's tall. He's got plus range. His strides cover so much turf. You look at reliable open field tackler. Like, he understands when he's dropping the timing of a check down, and he attacks the check down with just a tenacious mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm gonna trigger and fire downhill and make sure this check down does not gain an extra yard beyond what the intentions were. Yeah. I think that naturally, him being so tall, there's a lot of times where blockers, especially lead blockers and pullers, they get under him.
Yeah.
And the contact balance is still a work in progress. Like, there's a couple times he gets dumped just because he's not the low man. And he's so tall that it's easier for those more compact lead blockers that have a 10-yard head start and he didn't see him to kind of hit him in the chest. And he goes down or gets a little bit off balance. As a pass rusher, he doesn't really have a lot of skill as a blitzer. It's kind of just his speed.
He's got a nice dip and rip move. But that's about
right.
It. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like with his hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. When it's time to take on blockers. But just the athlete is so impressive. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he's played every linebacker spot and he's played the slot and you could ask a lot of different things of him in space really just makes him such a projectable player.
Yep.
Very easy to like this player, and I think he's probably going to go in the top 50 because of that.
I was going to say I think there's a good chance that he ends up being a top 50 player, and I gave him, I think, a second round grade, and that's even building in, like, I think that he could get even better. You get him with a good linebackers coach, and I think that you're talking about somebody who could be absolutely a difference making football player. So I'm a Jake Golday guy. I definitely am.
As am I. Linebacker 4 for you, 5 for me. And then that would leave just Josiah Trotter?
Yes. So Trotter was 9 for me, so he just missed my list. And then you have him at number 4. I think a lot of the things that you're about to say about him that you like, I also agree that I like. There's just some deficiencies with him, and I think that him being a young football player probably goes into it. But let's talk about Josiah Trotter.
No, and I think that's totally fair. Another player that, you can argue like Anthony Hill in some ways because he's 20. There's going to be some green aspects, but they are totally different players. Trotter, I said, he's just a masher, man. You watch this dude stick his feet in the ground and fire downhill. His ability to stack and shed. He also, for a young player, what was really impressive to me was he had a good understanding of when to stack and shed versus when to slip a block. And I noticed blockers became a little frustrated with that because they really didn't know how to attack him all the time. Because if you do try to build up the force to take him on because he has so much pound for pound compact strength, you really, really need to you need to land on him or else he's going to plow right through you or stack and shed easily. But sometimes when they tried to overfire, he was really savvy on kind of slipping under them or swiping by them or climbing over them or kind of swimming over them. I just thought he's such a gifted run defender. He's confident in what he sees. He's so physical. He kind of brings an energy to the front seven that is hard to match, man. It kind of feeds off and rubs off on everybody. So I think I love what this guy is as a run defender right now. I think he has some growing to do in terms of covering in space and being this dynamic 3-down kind of player. But if you want a tough guy for the middle of your defense, I loved what I saw at his age.
So to answer everybody in the chat, yes, he is Jeremiah Trotter Sr.'s son. And he is the younger brother of Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Somebody in the class was like, oh, he's going to be a Philadelphia Eagle. Well, that would mean that both he and his brother then would be members of the Philadelphia Eagles, which, I mean, would kind of be cool. I would like that. You talked a little bit about his background. He was at West Virginia initially, missed all of his first season with a knee injury, and he redshirted. Then he started at West Virginia in 2024, transferred to Missouri in 2025, and then started again for Missouri this past season. From a physicality standpoint, I think he's ready for the league. I think that he has the body density, the strength, the willingness, the ability to just win with power. All of that, I think, is there for him. I wish he would have stayed another year because I don't really feel like he is reliable in coverage at all. And
he's not. It's not you feel like that. That's the deficiency on the tape. And
the problem is that I think the team that's going to draft him, like right now, I kind of think, I don't know if this is overly harsh. Right now, I kind of think he's Devin White. Good athlete, powerful player, basically just a downhill only guy. And Devin White, I don't remember how many tackles he got this past year, but like if you want a linebacker that is just strictly a downhill football player who you do not want to retreat or play coverage at all whatsoever, this is your guy. But there's a reason why Devin White has bounced around the league a lot, and that's because teams kind of try to upgrade that position if you don't give them coverage ability. In an age where defenses, or I would say offenses and then defenses reacting to this, don't want a lot of linebackers on the field, the ones that are on the field have to be able to cover. Like we don't have a lot of teams and schemes that just go, yeah, okay, you're a downhill thumper. By the way, somebody said, how many times are we going to get thumper in the analysis of Josiah Trotter? There's one. This is our downhill thumper type of a player. How many times is that player getting on the field if they're a really bad liability in coverage? That's what's worried. That's what kind of worries me a little bit. So I think he'll get drafted to a team that wants that kind of player. But if he's going to play right away, you're basically going to either expose the coverage weakness or not really ask him to do it at all, and then you're not really getting him to improve in that area, where I feel like if he could have gone back to college, he might have. Like, he might have been a little bit, because I do think he's a pretty good athlete. He's just basically just a good downhill athlete right now. He is not very comfortable when he is retreating. There are times when I was watching him in coverage where there's not really a lot of good feel, and I'm watching his head, like, turn left and right to, like, try to find where the receiver is. And if you're in spot drop zone coverage and you don't have your eyes on the quarterback, you're going to get manipulated. Like, there's going to be a wide receiver or a tight end or a receiving option, whatever it is, that's going to run straight through your zone that you're just not going to be able to keep up with. So I do agree with you. He hits like a Mack truck. Physically, he is an NFL player right now, but I worry that what he is right now might be all he is throughout his NFL career, because he's coming out at a point where if the league doesn't develop him earlier, if he doesn't really get to sit, or if he goes to a defense that doesn't really develop him as a coverage player, I get worried that he's just going to be a bounce around the league type of a guy for you. So that's why I was a little bit more skeptical of him than other people are.
Definitely a bigger projection with Trotter. You don't see a lot of redshirt sophomores at this position declare. And, you know, it's very easy to believe in the run defense and the brand of football he plays and how hard he can hit and take on contact. It's just everything else is going to have to grow over time.
Andrew in the chat said, don't bring your thumping linebacker to a pounding fight. It's good. Like that. Cole said, for all my aviation nerds out there, Trotter's the AC-130s of Mike Evans's.
I'm not going to lie. I don't know anything about planes.
Well, I only know what an AC-130 is, obviously, from Call of Duty.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes.
Look, precision strike.
You've
helicopter.
called one in before.
Yeah, precision strike, attack helicopter, AC-130. That's the kill streak that we had in Prime Modern Warfare 3.
Okay. You want to go to our top threes?
I do, but before I do that,
yes,
I want to tell people that this PFF betting segment, NFLSE/PFF betting segment, brought to you by our friends over at DraftKings. Obviously, it's the big game, folks. We're very excited about it. One of the lines that I liked very early on, I'm going to give you a long shot here. Connor, you ready for this one? Rashid Shaheed to win MVP. Just saying. It's plus 5,000. And if neither of the quarterbacks are going to win it, MVP is probably going to be given for big moments. Shaheed already had a big special teams moment earlier this playoffs. He could have one again in the Super Bowl. We've seen that plenty of times before. And all he needs is a big special teams moment and then a 50-yard, 60-yard bomb that happens to go for a touchdown, and boom, we're in the money right there. You can check out all the odds over at DraftKings Sportsbook's app. DraftKings Sportsbook is the number one sportsbook for live betting. Now it's making every snap, every drive, every moment of Super Bowl 60 count with DraftKings Live Millions, featuring over $5 million in prizes just for live betting. Here's how simple it is. Head to DraftKings Sportsbook app, opt in and receive the promo token, place your live bet of $1 or more on the Super Bowl, and you're automatically entered. That's it. Every live bet means another shot to win. Place a live bet and stack your entries all Sunday long. Once the game wraps up, we will randomly select our prize winners, and there'll be more than 100,000 winners. Will you be one of them? That is the question. So jump in, bet live, and let the entries roll for a shot at a share of over $5 million in prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use promo code PFF. That's promo code PFF. Bet live for your share of $5 million in prizes with the promo code PFF. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you've got a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY, or just text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states, void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. No purchase necessary. Opt-in required. Minimum odds minus 500. Prize either bonus bets or single-use 20% profit boost. Max bet $20 that expire in 30 days. See official rules for entry period and free method of entry, sponsored by Crown Gaming Incorporated. What?
Peter, gambling problem? More like gambling opportunity. There's my favorite avatar.
a friend of mine was like, yeah, I'm down 88 units this year. I was like, sounds like you're just one bet. I was like, sounds like you're just one bet away from being even. Don't do that. Nobody out there do that.
That is not advice.
Peter, don't do that. Do not.
Opportunity. Oh, sickening.
All right, who you got? I guess we're going. We're just revealing them. 3, 2, 1.
We should do the double reveal. The double whammy. Bang. And bang.
There it is.
There was a little part of me that hadn't ruled you out having Sonny number 1.
Yeah, I kind of. Reese and Styles are completely different players, to be honest.
That's the problem with it. That even if one of us did, and I was like, there's a world where you do that. It's like watching two totally different projections.
Correct.
I guess we start with CJ Allen before we get to the Ohio State guys, who I thought might be the easiest projection in some ways.
You think CJ Allen is?
I mean, Sonny Styles probably, in terms of just like what he does now, is what he'll do at the NFL. Arvell, there's a different combo. But CJ Allen, I think what I loved about CJ Allen, the junior linebacker out of Georgia, is just that what they ask him to do and how he operates is like an NFL player.
Totally.
At middle linebacker.
Totally.
I mean, the thing that you'll notice the first game you watch of this guy, he's getting everyone lined up in place pre-snap all the way down to the play clock. It's wild. He's running up to D linemen. He's shouting out to players around him. Like, this is the guy in Kirby's defense. And it's not something that'll show up on any kind of metric, but it's absolutely something you have to write down on the scouting report. And it's not a surprise then when you watch him play, Trev, that he's got exceptional play speed. I think he has that tenacity. I think for a young player, the instincts are in a really, really good place. He understands run development. He can work through or around blockers. He arrives with force. Like, there's just so much to like about his ability playing in the box. Now, I think to nitpick here, two things that I did write down that I had to call out. His movements, he's fast, but he can be stiff at times. Now, the one thing that
always.
But not always.
I know.
Right.
I know.
Did
you watch the Auburn game?
Yes.
So you know what I'm talking about. The one rep that he has where he covers like a 3 breaking route where you go, that's the best coverage rep I've seen of any linebacker in the class.
It is. It's not even close. You look at him do that and you're like, that's like what like a Fred Warner would have to do.
It was stupid. I watched that and I was just like, what did I just watch?
It's one of the craziest all 22 plays for this entire draft class.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, so he comes back from the meniscus injury and he misses one game. And I think he had a minor surgery on the meniscus. I need to get confirmation of that, if it was a surgery or just rest, but I'd seen in some place written down a surgery. So then they play Georgia Tech, Alabama, and Ole Miss. And there's no way he was healthy. Yeah. There's no way. Yeah. Like watching the first 80% of his season, I'm like, God, this guy's going at the end of the first round, maybe the middle of the first round.
I mean, he still might.
And he still might. You watch those 3 games, he was just not as confident, not the same athlete. And it felt like he might have been compensating because of that knee. So the ability to drive through contact at times. So I kind of threw that out the window. Those games just felt so different than the actual player he is.
Yeah. You remember Curtis Lofton?
Absolutely.
He reminds me a lot of Curtis Lofton. Just
That's
like a smaller, stacked, explosive middle linebacker type of a player. I felt like he reminded me a ton of just Curtis Lofton. Somebody in the chat asked this. They were like, hold on a second. Why is Jacob Rodriguez, too small and a little bit less of an athlete?
I didn't think he was too small. I just want to I want to hammer that home. The first thing I said about Jacob Rodriguez is I don't think he's too small, and I don't like that narrative. I don't think he's as fast as CJ Allen.
No. I agree. I agree. I think Rodriguez is a little undersized, just like I think that Allen is a little undersized. But
right,
for, why I have Rodriguez? What did I have him? 6, something like that.
Yep.
Right around there. I mean, it's like
You can't help yourself. You can't help yourself.
What did I say?
6, 7.
I didn't say 7. Whoa, I didn't say 7. I didn't say 7. I said 6.
I thought chat. Help me, chat.
I said 6.
Okay. I thought
we're going to VAR technology.
Yeah.
I did not say this. I did not say this.
I have thrown the challenge flag.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. M. Cadoza said you said 6 twice.
6?
No, but then
6?
The chef is saying
I
7.
didn't say 7. I did not say 7.
Man. The audience just erupted as I threw the red flag on the field.
Connor's gaslighting. You're gaslighting me.
I mean, you are a frequent culprit. I'm calling it the VAR.
Yeah, we got
that system
VAR.
Sucks.
VAR technology. We've got a good goal.
They just flip a coin. They don't do anything. Call that and some guy in the back office drinking coffee.
They're just watching TikToks in there.
Yeah.
They're just watching Dude, speaking of, really quick.
The trailer for the Odyssey is on in there.
I saw somewhere.
Matt Damon's in this?
I don't even remember. Now I don't even remember if I saw this specifically on Facebook Marketplace or I saw somebody post this from Facebook Marketplace. But somebody was selling an official, old, giant NFL replay machine that the refs would go up to and they get under the tarp.
Thing.
Yes. Someone was selling that on Facebook Marketplace.
I mean, I'm not even going to say anything here. There's just times where I'm going to not speak.
I hope that I saw that on the timeline instead of me seeing it in real life. Because if I saw it in real life, I'm kind of mad that I didn't get it.
You got to bring that home.
100%.
How do you explain that to your significant other though? Like its purpose. Whenever you got to buy something big for the house.
I wouldn't say anything. I'd get it delivered when Alyssa was gone.
Just put it somewhere.
Yeah, I'd get it. I'd get it delivered. It'd be in the office before Alyssa would come home. She didn't come in here.
I would have to do the same thing. Yeah. My wife never comes into my office.
Right, exactly. We'd be good to go. And then anytime the chat was wilding out, I'd walk over to the replay booth and I'd make sure that we saw the replay, that whether or not,
if you and I ever do this show, we build a studio.
Jeff says, or best offer, no lowballing.
That is great.
Scuba says, write it off as a business expense. I 100%.
That's where I'm going. If we ever build a studio for this show to do it in person every week, that would be a prop for the studio, which is a business expense.
100% it is.
Studio prop expense.
I mean, there's no way our business could operate without it.
I have to have this.
Yeah. And we would make sure that the IRS would know that.
They'll understand.
Yeah, I mean, our IRS agent would be like, hell yeah, brothers. That's sick. That's sick.
Use that as a write-off.
Puts the stamp of approval on it. You guys are good to go.
They go through all your write-offs in parentheses. Hell yeah, brother. I'll double its worth on your taxes. Oh, man. Dudes rock.
Dudes do rock. CJ Allen. Good football player. I think
really good.
I think you're right. It starts with the run defense. Over the last 2 years, 2 year sample size for him, in which he has been a starter, I believe, for full time each of the last 2 seasons. Well, he started 12 of 14 games the previous season, but he was a full time starter this season. So for all intents and purposes, yes. It starts with the run defense grade, an elite 91.6 run defense grade for him there. 11.3 solo run stop percentage. That obviously means you don't have any help, right? There's not another linebacker or a defensive tackle. It's you and the ball carrier. How often are you bringing them down when you have those chances? That's 88th percentile for CJ Allen, that he is able to be a solo run stopping type of a player. Multi-sport athlete when he was in high school. First of all, he played linebacker and running back, averaged more than 135 rushing yards per game as a running back. If you play running back and linebacker, you're a psychopath.
100%.
You just love punishment. You just love getting hit.
You live for it.
You're
Zero fear.
You
want to be in the car crash every play.
Your parents, before you get home from the game, where they're driving you home from the game, they're stopping at the gas station and getting those giant bags of ice just to dump into the tub that you have in the guest bathroom at the house, and you're just laying in those bags of ice. That is after every single Friday night, and you want that if you're signing up to play running back and linebacker. He also played basketball and ran track in high school. So this dude's a true athlete, but he's also extremely powerful. He can defend the run really well. His eyes are always on the ball. I think he's got great eyes. He's got the strength to work through blockers. The measurables and the lack of arm length makes it a little bit harder for him to get off of blocks per se, but he attacks them with a lot of fire, a lot of passion, a lot of pride. So he's going up against these offensive linemen the way that you would want a middle linebacker to. And again, we've spent the show talking about, well, this guy's, he's kind of a will linebacker. Well, he's an overhang. He kind of plays in space. C.J. Allen is a middle linebacker.
Right.
He is a middle linebacker, and from the very first snap, you have no doubts about it. I think he's a hell of a football player, and I do think that you're right. The coverage grades that he got this past season, I think, are not indicative of who he has the potential to be. Was that the result that he got maybe from the knee injury that he was dealing with? Yes. But I think he has much more potential as a box coverage defender than that 37.3 grade that he earned this past season. C.J. Allen's the man. I think he is a late first, early second round type of a linebacker player, and I think that he's somebody who could be a multi-contract player for you.
With you all the way. I think he'll be highly coveted in this great class. Speaking of that,
indeed. Sonny Styles, you just want to talk about Styles next? Yeah.
Sure.
So
you want me to kick us off?
Yeah,
you want to kick us off?
Go ahead.
Okay. I mean, Sonny Styles is just, this is like a prototype kind of build. The numbers I have from the spring are 6'4" 3/8, 237 pounds, 33 1/4 inch arms, 10-inch hands. He was made in a lab. And then you factor in that with how big he is, he's tall, he's starting to fill out, he's got huge hands and long arms. Oh, he also runs like a safety because he started at safety 2 years ago.
Yeah, he was on Feldman's freak list, wasn't he? Yes, he was.
Sure, if he wasn't,
I think he was number 10.
This dude is, it's wild.
Let's see. He was number 10 on Bruce Feldman's freak list. Lord. So he says he's up to 243. So that's obviously fantastic. And this
doesn't look small.
This is past summer. He broad jumped 11 feet. Yeesh.
Oh my God.
Vertical jumped 40 inches. Squats 675 pounds. So he also hit 23 miles an hour in practice?
I mean, that's out of this world.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
So insane athlete, crazy build. But Connor, I want to hear you continue to talk about him, but like the play recognition?
Oh man.
Brother, that Indiana game's the best game that I've ever seen from any prospect in this class. I've watched a lot of tape on a lot of guys this season. His Indiana game is the best of any position of any player that I have seen in the 2026 NFL draft. He knew the plays before the ball was snapped. That's a crazy performance from him.
Yeah, I mean, with Sonny, what's so interesting is when you have guys like this that have perfect measurables and are elite athletes, like blue tier level athletes, the 90th percentile and above, size and athleticism, and they converted from another position throughout college, the talking point is always that they're developing. It doesn't even feel like he's developing anymore. He's so good at everything. He's just a great prospect at linebacker because, well, let's get into the background. His dad, Lorenzo, was a third-round pick for the Falcons in 1995. So his father obviously played linebacker in the NFL. he has grown into the linebacker position at Ohio State. Like I said, he started at safety in 2023, where he made 12 starts there. And then the last 2 years, he's been incredibly productive at the linebacker position. He's got almost 100 solo tackles over the last 2 years, 7 total sacks, broke up 8 passes. I mean, almost 20 tackles for a loss. Like, he's just, you look at he's tall, long arms, the big hands. He doesn't miss tackles, 2.2% missed tackle rate. It's crazy because watching his tape, Trevor, he didn't have a tackle attempt broken until the national title game.
Yeah.
I believe Mark Fletcher did truck him once.
Yeah.
And it was like, once again, Rocky IV, Drago starts bleeding, and you just can't believe this guy's vulnerable to anything.
Right.
When Fletcher ran through him, I'm like, I've watched this guy's whole season.
Yeah.
We had the Big Ten coverage. You watch a tape of him. I never see him look human. And he finally looked human for once because he missed a tackle or two against Miami. He's got insane range. He's got legitimate coverage skills because he's got long arms and he's fast. So if he's anywhere near matching the route, he can not only disrupt the pass, but break up the pass. He's already started for 3 years for Ohio State, but he's only 21 years old, and he's not turning 22 until November. So he's young. He's played a ton of college football at an elite program at 2 different positions. He's an elite athlete. He's been highly productive. He has instincts. He's smart. He has on-the-ball production. I mean, there's just not a lot missing with this guy.
I think the only part of his game that I have any substantial subtractions from when it comes to film evaluation is he's not really a deep zone dropping coverage player. He is a attacking coverage player, and I think he has the athleticism to match up against tight ends in man coverage.
Right.
But asking him to, because there are some defenses in the NFL that will ask you to sort of like be towards the line of scrimmage, and then it's like some sort of simulated pressure, a mug look or whatever it is, and then you drop from that, you flip the hips, you shuffle back, and then you flip the hips again and you shuffle over depending on kind of how you're getting to your spot. He just doesn't do that a lot. And he's not nearly as fluid of an athlete in that kind of drop coverage the way that he is either in man coverage or keeping things in front of him and flying to the football. So I think that that's a little bit lacking in his game. And if you're a defense that asks their linebackers to do a lot of those kinds of drops in coverage, okay, I could see maybe he's not the perfect fit for you. But brother, everything else that this guy does, he does at a NFL level. Like, I'll just say that. The recognition's unbelievable. Even beyond just that Indiana game. He is exactly where he needs to be. He takes on pullers with pride. He takes on offensive linemen with all. I can't tell you how many tackles I saw this year where he is making contact with the offensive linemen, jolting them back from their momentum, and then with the other arm tackling the running back. There are so many plays where he is doing that because he's got the explosiveness, the speed to power, and the length to be able to make those kinds of plays by himself. He is fantastic between the tackles. He is fantastic to the sidelines. He sees things so fast. You mentioned the low missed tackle percentage this past year. I see people in the chat that are saying, what's the difference between Sonny Styles and Isaiah Simmons? And I can understand why the question would be asked.
Right.
Because both of these guys are former like hybrid linebacker safeties, both of them right around 6'4", 6'5", both of them right around, 230 to 240, kind of depending on where Isaiah Simmons was sort of in his football journey. The biggest difference is that Sonny Styles likes to hit.
He has the dog in him. That's the answer.
He wants to hit. Isaiah Simmons could not play physically in between the tackles. And that's where we've talked about this term before here on this show, the difference between being versatile and being homeless. And unfortunately for Isaiah Simmons, he didn't have a home base. He wasn't physical enough to play as a linebacker. He wasn't fluid enough to play as a nickel defender. And he didn't have the coverage instincts to play as a safety. So you have this player who is a great overall athlete who can theoretically play in a lot of these spots, but he was lacking the prerequisites at each of them to play there. There is no doubt in my mind that Sonny Styles is a linebacker at the NFL level. He relishes, needs, feeds off of wanting to play physical in between the tackles. So I don't think those players are similar at all whatsoever. I think that Sonny Styles also approaches and anticipates the game at a much, 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 much higher level than Isaiah Simmons did when he was coming out of Clemson. I think that I gave him a first-round grade. And
Easy.
And it's tough to get first-round grades out of me for the linebacker position. The only thing that holds him back from being a surefire top 10 prospect all-pro type of a grade for me with Sonny Styles is that if you are, again, one of these defenses that asks your linebackers to do these deep shuffling drops in coverage, he just didn't do a lot of it at Ohio State, and he doesn't look as comfortable. But if you put him in an attacking role where he gets to read and react, he could be as good as any linebacker in the NFL. And I really mean that. He's awesome.
Yep. Absolutely, man.
Before we get to Arvell Reese, really quickly, our game plan of the week, folks, for the Super Bowl, the big game, presented by Western and Southern Financial Group, a game plan for your financial future. Connor, I think the big game plan here that we have coming up this Sunday is the Seattle Seahawks being able to play a lot of zone coverage against Drake May to defend his legs. The Seahawks already like to do this a lot. They run a lot of quarters. They run a lot of cover six. That means that they have a lot of bodies that they can dedicate to keeping their eye on Drake May, Devon Witherspoon, Nicky Manwari, Ernest Jones, whoever it is. They're going to have a lot of those options. So I think that's a really good game plan for them to continue to lean into that zone coverage to mitigate what Drake May can do with his legs. Just like every team win starts with a great game plan, your future should as well. With life insurance built like a championship roster, Western and Southern helps you protect your family. So you can focus on winning today knowing that tomorrow is covered. Whether you're just starting out building your dynasty or looking to lock in long-term protection, their coverage options are designed to match your game plan. Visit westernsouthern.com/PFF to get your free life quote and start building your financial game plan today. Western and Southern, built to win, backed by over 130 years of helping people protect what matters most. A truly brilliant mind, this is topical, said in the chat, imagine if somebody copyrighted The Big Game. Might be missing out on a business opportunity there.
There might be something there.
Talk to good people about Arvell Reese, who I think there's a lot of differing opinions on Arvell Reese. What he is, how good he is, his NFL projection. But at the end of the day, you and I both had him as the top linebacker of choice in this class. Tell the good people why.
Yeah, man, this is a legit breakout player this year at 6'4", 243 pounds, and 20 years old. 20 years old on draft night, by the way, not just 20 years old now.
Can't even have a beer.
Can't even have a beer.
He's never had beer before. It's crazy.
Doesn't even know what it looks like.
No. Certainly, not the silver bowl that you're carrying around.
No, just everywhere. Anytime someone sees me at my home studio, I have an Uncrustable during our break. On the hotel road, I just drink a silver bullet throughout every show. Oh, man. Arvell Reese. I'll just read through all my notes because I had a ton of them.
Yep.
Above average downhill speed and vision. Violent, powerful hands.
Yep.
I mean, this is someone that he stacks up against pullers that are in a much bigger weight class than him. And it doesn't look like it. It doesn't really, from a physics standpoint, watching Arvell Reese doesn't really make a lot of sense because it'll look like he's given up 70 pounds to some of these guys and he's the one moving them or really dictating everything at the point of attack. When he plays stand-up outside linebacker, he sets a strong edge against the run, against tackles. Just has a knack for kind of understanding hand placement, which we know how good, front seven players are coached up at Ohio State to use their hands to control the offense and get off of blocks. Like I said, he's not even turning 21 years old until the end of his first training camp. He's getting bigger and stronger. I mean, he's 6'4", 243. At the NFL level with an NFL weight program, by the time he's 22, he's probably 250 pounds and carries it like nothing. I mean, like absolutely nothing. And that's why there's going to be a lot of conversation with teams. Does this guy play full-time on the edge like Jalen Walker was asked to do? Is he going to do a little bit of everything where we like him as an inside backer that can kick out and rush a little bit? And I'll kind of get to all of that part of his game. One last thing on the off-ball stuff, or a couple things. Trevor, I love how in control he is when he's in pursuit and breaking down in space. It's for his size. You watch jet sweeps and outside runs against him. He, number one, doesn't ever lose the foot race, it feels like.
Never.
And two,
never.
Whenever on an outside zone run or a jet sweep, the ball carrier thinks they can just kind of flow back to give more space to beat him. They don't. And then when they try to cut in, he never over pursues. He's in, like, his ability to gear down so comfortably and come to balance is so wildly impressive. And it probably backs up why he only had a 6% missed tackle rate. That's 91st percentile in 2025. Great spatial awareness. He understands when the quarterback's going to check it down. He's got good closing speed. You watch him in coverage against tight ends up the seam. You know, this is somebody that can really flip his hips and work backwards. This is a league full of athletic quarterbacks. This is the best spy I've watched.
Yes.
You have him. Nobody gets away from him.
No.
Nobody. And you're looking at the NFL and you're like, damn, we got to worry about freaking Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels and all these guys that, you know, even the up-and-comers now, like Jackson Dart, the way they can really just kind of beat you. Drake May, of course, beat you on the ground. Arvell Reese, his ability as a spy changes those backyard plays. When he blitzes and arrives against a running back, like he knows he's the bigger guy and arrives with so much force. And the last thing for me, he's very green as a pass rusher, and we can have that combo and a bigger, broader combo. But I do like Trevor that he tries to work inside and outside. Like, not everything is outside speed. He tries to keep tackles a little off balance to have a different kind of plan. He's just done so little of it over a course of time.
I think this player's potential is so high. And I feel like when you and I do our rankings every year, I feel like we're just, as a duo and as a show and as analysts, always a little bit more wary of the, like, oh, just draft this guy and like he'll be all of these things, and
because we've seen it fail.
Right, exactly. And so I feel like we're more skeptical than other draft analysts might be. But I think right now, I think Arvell Reese is Edgerrin Cooper. And then he's got the ability to be more than that. Like, I think Edgerrin Cooper is an incredible linebacker, does so many things for the Packers. You talk about a guy who, the second he gives himself the green light and triggers downhill, he probably closes as fast as any linebacker in the entire league does. And I think that you pointing that out about Arvell Reese, I think, is really important. There are so few athletes that can play at the high speed that he does, yet also still be in control. Right. He is truly rare in that regard. I think Edgerrin Cooper is rare in that regard. I think Edgerrin Cooper is an all-pro talent type of a linebacker. You know, now, does he ever get recognized officially as an all-pro? I think that, of course, like, there's only so many spots every single year. But I really do think that even right now, Arvell Reese, to me, is Edgerrin Cooper as an off-ball linebacker, and what he can be as a QB spy, as somebody who keeps his eyes in front of him, a downhill triggering linebacker, an attacking linebacker. And then I think he'll give you a little bit more as a pass rusher than Edgerrin Cooper will. And I think that there's a world where he can become an even better, like, zone-dropping second-level defender than Edgerrin Cooper is. And, oh, by the way, he's also doing this while being bigger than Edgerrin Cooper is.
Right.
So I saw somebody in the chat say this, and I've seen this before. a lot of people want to know the comp, and that's why I say right now my comp for him is Edger and Cooper. I just think that he's got more potential to him even beyond that, which is kind of incredible to say. Some people go, well, he's Micah Parsons. I don't think he's Micah. I think Micah's different. Micah's bigger. He's thicker. I think Micah's a better pass rusher than Arvell Reese is ever going to be. I think that Arvell Reese is more of a linebacker who rushes the passer as opposed to like an edge rusher who maybe will sort of do some off-ball linebacker stuff for you. So I don't really see him the same way that I see or even saw Micah Parsons when he was coming out of Penn State. I don't think Arvell Reese is going to turn into a full-time on-ball linebacker, edge rusher at the NFL level. I think he's going to stay as an off-ball, but I think what he can do for you as a read and chase type of a player, there's not many people that can play as fast as he does and as strong as he does and yet as in control as he does.
Right.
And it's kind of scary how he puts it all together like that. So a different type of linebacker than the one that we just mentioned with Sonny Styles. Like Sonny Styles, I think, is a Mike. I think he is through and through, whether you're playing an odd front defense, whether you're playing a 4-3 even front defense, whether you like to stunt a lot up front, whether you like static rushes with four guys, whatever. I think the Sonny Styles can be your do-it-all type of Mike linebacker. Arvell Reese, I think, is just like an apex predator. Like, I think that you kind of put him on the field in more of that will linebacker role in space, and you let him hunt. You just let him read and chase, and I think that he will be a very, very impactful player for you in that regard. So I love Reese. I think he is a game-changing type of a second-level defender.
Yeah, the fact that you're seeing his name thrown around to be the number 2 overall pick in the draft speaks volumes of the kind of different caliber prospect he is at this position.
Yeah. RW is saying he's a Sam because of what he can do on the line. I kind of think I think he's a Sam and a Will. Like I
agree. I think he can do both.
I think I categorized him as a Sam because I categorized the linebackers at all 3 levels. So I categorized him as a Sam because of what he can do on the line of scrimmage, and he's got over 300 snaps on the defensive line. But there are times that I watch him when I go, okay, well, you're also an overhang defender. You're also a will linebacker. You do all these kinds of things. And I think that naturally, I see people in the chat talking about this. Having this sort of amoeba position can make you worried about picking a guy like this in the top 5. I think specifically, a lot of people would talk about, there's talk of him going at number 2 to the Jets.
Right.
But I just simply think that he is one of the most talented football players in this class. I don't think that he is this positionless guy that can't have an impact in one way or another. I really do see him as much more of a versatile player than what we talked about a little bit with Isaiah Simmons, where he is homeless and doesn't have a position where he actually makes an impact. I think he's much more of a football player, physicality first, than a lot of these players that we typically like to talk about as versatile guys.
All right, want to recap our rankings, and then we'll knock out a ton of super chats we got.
Let's do it.
Waiting for us.
Let's get to it.
All right, so 8 for me was Kyle Lewis, the linebacker out of Pitt. 7 was Jacob Rodriguez out of Texas Tech. 6, Anthony Hill Jr. from Texas. 5, Jake Golday, Cincinnati. 4, Josiah Trotter from Missouri. 3, CJ Allen from Georgia. 2, Sonny Styles from Ohio State. And 1, his teammate, Arvell Reese.
Number 8, I got Anthony Hill Jr. from Texas. Number 7, the guy that I just can't quit, Taurean York from Texas A&M. 6, Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech. 5, Kyle Lewis, who I have at linebacker here because I wanted to talk about him, but see him more as just an overall nickel defender. Jake Golday, I have at number 4. CJ Allen at number 3. Sonny Styles at number 2. And Arvell Reese at number 1. Really quick, though, Connor, I think there's a world where we get 3 linebackers in the first round.
And I think
there's even a not too distant world where could we get 4?
The number would be set at 3.5 by if the books know ball.
I think so.
I don't know if they're awoken to that yet, but by the time the draft circles around, it would be 3.5.
Really quick, some people in the chat are asking about Harold Perkins, Deontay Lawson. Deontay Lawson was, I think, 10 for me. 10 on my list.
He was 9 for me.
So I like a lot of what Deontay Lawson brings to the table. I think he's a really smart linebacker. I think he's a good coverage backer. I think he is somebody that can do a lot of those mugged drop coverage looks for you. He's just a little small. And I don't think that he's the best straight line athlete, too. So a little undersized, plays a little light, not a great straight line athlete. Kind of tough to be anything more than a day 3 pick at linebacker in that regard. And then, Connor, I don't know if you watched Harold Perkins Jr., but I watched him again, and
I just don't know what to do with him.
I just don't think that he's going to start at linebacker at the NFL level. I think he could be a core special teams player for you. I think he could be a depth athlete for you who could play maybe a little bit on the edge, maybe a little bit at linebacker if you need like some sort of sub-package player here and there throughout the game. But he can't cover the way you need to a linebacker to cover. He doesn't move laterally the way you need him to. He doesn't have the instincts as a Mike, and he's not big enough to be a Sam. So it's just, I love Harold Perkins. I loved watching him at LSU. I hope he has a long career as a depth linebacker and as a special teams guy, but it's hard for me to see him in a starting role at the NFL level.
You basically just said he needs to be Barkevious Mingo in the NFL. A guy that just undersized, different version of linebacker, but just played special teams forever at a high level at the NFL after not living up to his draft billing.
Right. All right. We're going to get to your super chats here in a second for the after the episode portion of the program. We would love to hear what you guys thought of our linebacker rankings and sort of the conversation that we had, how we view linebackers. We would love to hear, excuse me, how you guys view linebackers. Best way to do that, of course, in the comment section or in the NFLSE Discord, which you can join with the link that is in the description of the show. You can also follow the show on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter, at NFLSE Show. Connor is at Connor J. Rogers, doing a great job covering everything over the Super Bowl, so make sure you guys follow him on all of the social media platforms. I am at Tampa Bay Trey. Connor's, he's too famous for us, guys. He's going to be all over Media Row. He's going to, he's pulling in a lot of different directions. Everybody's got to have Connor on the shows and everything, so.
I'm just everyone's sidekick. Which is fine. I'm very content in that life. I'm your sidekick. I'm Matthew Berry's sidekick.
That is not true. That first one is not true at all.
Yes,
whatsoever.
Yes, I am.
I am gonna do another episode. I think I'm just gonna do a Wheel and Mock Draft episode at some point.
Nice.
We're maybe gonna do that tomorrow. So probably same time. I think we'll do that on Wednesday, so you guys can be on the lookout for that. Hats. So we will be giving away some NFLSE hats because we did that on the last Wheel Mock Draft episode that we did last week. But just full transparency, because we always want to be transparent with you guys. We've got the Super Bowl stuff that we're doing this week. I'm in Cincinnati for a watch-along video of the Super Bowl on Sunday, so I'm out of town a little bit this weekend. And then I'm taking a little bit of PTO in between Super Bowl and Combine. So I'm not going to have the ability to send out the hats. So what I don't want to have happen, I think I said this on the last episode, is what I don't want to have happen is I don't want to open up and replenish the Shopify store, have you guys buy hats, and then I can't send them out for 3 weeks. I know a lot of you guys who are diehards of the show will obviously totally understand, but anybody who might be more of a casual listener to the show might be like, okay, I gave these people my money 3 weeks ago and I still don't have a hat. Like, I just don't want to do that to people who want to support the show. So in all likelihood, we're probably going to replenish the hats maybe right before the Combine or right after the Combine. It's either going to be at the end of February or the early part of March. I know that sucks. I'm sorry, guys. I want you guys to have a hat just as much as you guys do, but trying to work through a very busy schedule. So this show is for you guys. We always want to be as transparent as possible with it. So that is where the hat situation is. It's coming soon. But me being Aerotine Engineering with sending the hats out, we've just got to be a little bit flexible with it. So
that is us at the moment. We hope to grow into a full trading firm. But right now we are just the shed in the backyard with the painted sign.
We hope the hats one day have both civilian and military, what does he say? Benefits, uses,
applications.
Applications. That's probably the word. Connor, anything else before we get out of here?
No, man. Like you said, it's going to be a little bit of a crazy schedule. Not too wild, but I know you're going to be back on our feed. We do have at least something planned before you step out for a week. And then we're finally going to be together at the NFL Combine. And it's from there on, it's a sprint. Like, I feel like all we do is make content from the NFL Combine and on. So it's going to be fun to not only keep it rolling, but kind of crank things up a notch or two.
Yeah, very excited for that. If you're watching live, hang out a little bit as we run through all of the super chats in the after the episode portion of the show. And if you missed it, obviously we will be posting these as a one-off at the end of the week. For the chef, Tyler Cook behind the scenes, making sure that this show runs as smoothly as it does. For Connor Rogers, I'm Trevor Sikkema saying thank you guys so much for watching another episode of the NFL Stock Exchange Podcast. We'll see you guys next time.